What's up everybody, Sujan Patel here. Today we're going to talk about how to find your growth channels. This is very important for early stage startups or pretty much any new business. I think a lot of people try to do too many different things, try too many different tactics or channels. They read an article and they think, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this. And frankly, that approach doesn't work. These tactics are not scalable channels. So I'm going to walk you through my 5-step process that I use to identify and scale my growth marketing efforts for a new business. So step 1 is understanding common growth channels. Look, there's a handful of things you can use upfront and early on in your business to grow your traffic, to get sales, to increase revenue. First and foremost is cold email or outbound sales. It is probably the fastest, most effective way because you can put people on it, man hours, you can do it yourself. It's something that probably doesn't scale that well, but it does help you get your early customers. Number 2 is including some sort of virality or referral programs into your product, your service, into your offering somewhere. Now, because you do this, you're not going to magically get hundreds and hundreds of customers or thousands of people or visitors or millions of anything. You're going to get as much as you get. What I mean by that is you're going to get a fraction of the people that come to your product purchase to actually refer you new business. But you need to start putting this into your product early on so that it can actually start to, one new customer can actually bring in one more or 0.1. So you have a better multiple on every new customer. Now the third way is advertising, whether it's paid search, paid social, whatever it is, billboards. Advertising is a very effective way to grow your business. Now the problem with this is it costs a lot of money. Most people don't have that exact dollars to spend or have a big budget when they come out with a concept or a new idea or a new startup before funding. Or if you're bootstrapping like myself with my businesses, you don't have a big budget, so you can't do that, but it does work really well. Now number 4 is content marketing and SEO, essentially inbound marketing. This is a very, very effective channel. Now warning here is that it takes a long time. It's a slow channel. You don't get SEO overnight. It takes 6, 12, 18, 24 months to start seeing results from content marketing because you need to build that audience. You need to build value and something they care about. We've talked about this many times before, but it's tried and true. It works. It's always going to work. It's going to get harder, so it's good to invest early on. The next thing is influencer marketing. This is a newer channel. It's been done forever, but on the web, it's a newer channel you can leverage. There's tons of Instagram influencers, YouTube celebrities, bloggers. You can pretty much connect with the right people, give them free access to your product or pay them, hire them, whatever it is, however you're going to compensate those people, give them equity of your company, and they can help you build your initial base. Getting people early on being an influence or an advocate or evangelist of your product is very, very effective. And the last one is creating like a Microtool, a free tool or an epic piece of content, something 10x. We do this at Mailshake. We've done this at all my companies. Linktexting.com, we have these playbooks that we essentially use to help build awareness on the brand. We give them out for free. In fact, we use those playbooks and ebooks that are completely free. We use them for our outbound emails and cold email process. That way we're providing value to people. But essentially those are the channels you can use to grow a business from scratch with little money. Now advertising may take more, but essentially those are the channels you should start to explore. Not random ones that you read about. Start with the basics. Start with those and then expand from there. Step 2, identify your competitive advantage. If you're starting a new business, you have a startup, you want to validate something, you need to have some sort of benefit, advantage that your competitors or something that doesn't exist in the market. So I'll give you an example. At Mailshake, we launched about 4 months ago. We have about 7,500 customers, and our competitive advantage is we are the easiest to use and we are the cheapest in the space. Our closest competitor is twice as expensive as us. Our biggest in terms of volume of customers is about 10x the cost of ours per user. So coming in very, very cheap. Now we won't have this pricing forever. So if you're watching and you're a Mailshake customer, you're getting a really good deal. But we got in really cheap. We actually launched a couple of promos with lifetime deals to help get those 7,500 customers. And over time, as we build that functionality and gain a competitive advantage on terms of the product and further have a foothold, we will increase our prices and expand beyond that. But what's your competitive advantage? Think about what's one or two things that you have that is absolutely better than anyone else on the market, or a better way to do this, or something that doesn't exist at all. So once you identify that, it is very, very important that you lead with that. So step 3 is picking your top 1 or 2 channels. I see a lot of people make mistakes here where they go after all these different tactics and multiple channels at one time. Frankly, if you're starting off, you're the marketer and the business owner or the CEO, what have you, you don't have enough time, you don't have enough bandwidth, you don't have enough knowledge or brain power to go after every channel out there or every tactic. You have to choose the top 1 or 2 channels. Now, my advice here is do the math. One of my friends has a startup and he's like, hey, Sujan, I had this awesome idea. He had to get to $1 million in ARR, and he had this awesome idea about how he was going to do it. He was going to use partners. As we did the math, he had a couple partners that essentially that were going to promote him, had 1 million, 2 million person email list and customer base that they were going to promote his product to. And as we did the math through, okay, if you promote something to 2 million people, what's the open rate? How are you going to get people to on a phone call? How are you going to get that? Anyways, it dwindled down to about $60,000, $70,000 in revenue that it was going to bring. He thought that one thing was going to bring in $1 million ARR, or get him to $1 million ARR, and it didn't. So do the math. Be realistic, but do the math and find your channels. And I would recommend you focus on one channel. Do a killer job at that. Get it working, and then move on. Now, step 4 is evolve your approach over time. Look, you're going to start with one channel, then you're going to do 2. You're going to get better at the 1 or 2 channels. You might be mastering 1 or 2 channels while you're testing another one. Over time, you can evolve the process and approach. What you do today to get your first 1,000 customers, to get your first 10,000 customers, to get your first 100,000 customers or 1 million customers is going to change. Channels are going to tap out, meaning you're fully leveraged that channel. You cannot get any further. And you're going to have to move on. You will have to get into advertising. You may have to do outbound. You may generate enough traffic where you can do fully inbound and have to hire a sales team. Whatever it is, your channels will evolve over time. Don't worry about what happens 2 years from now. Focus on the here and now, and focus on your first 100, your first 1,000, and your first 10,000 customers. All right, step 5, just a fair warning here on how things will change. For your first 10 to 100 customers, you're going to be focusing primarily almost 90% on short-term tactics. The next 10% will be focused on long-term tactics. But at your first 100 customers, you can't afford to do the long game. You can't afford to invest on what's going to happen next year if you will never make it there. From 100 to 1,000, you're going to focus about 60%, 70% on short-term tactics, and the rest on long-term tactics. Now, you can afford to focus a bit of the long-term tactics like SEO or content marketing. Now, after you get about 1,000 customers, that's where things change. You're going to focus 80% on long-term tactics and strategies and 20% on short-term tactics. This is very important because at this point, after about 1,000 customers, no longer is a hack, a growth hack, this one tactic, something you read, gonna move the needle for you. You need to start focusing on how you're gonna get the next 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 customers. And that comes from content marketing, advertising, cold email or sales, influencers, and the channels we mentioned above. Do not mistake a growth hack or a tactic as a channel. A growth channel is something that can get you thousands of customers. A growth hack can help maybe get your thousands of customers you have or 100 customers you have to help you get a little bit more, or you can leverage them a little bit more effectively, or there's one thing you can do to an opportunity to get a short-term win. But a growth hack is not a channel. So focus on those channels. And those tried and true channels, trust me, I've been doing this for 15 years almost, they don't change. Advertising is always gonna work. SEO and content marketing is always gonna work. Cold email or outbound sales always works. It may not work for your business, but it has worked for many, many others. All right, guys, until next time, and as always, leave a comment if you have any questions below.